folks. Welcome back to my channel Relationship Haven. In today's story, Opie found out his girlfriend cheated on him with a guy after she claimed she was just giving him emotional support to help him get over a breakup. Yeah, right. Then got revenge by ghosting her without giving her any warning whatsoever. And now his girlfriend is losing her mind. In today's second story, Opie found out his wife of 20 years cheated on him and needs advice on how to proceed. Now, let's get into today's stories. I have been dating a girl I met at work. We'll call her Martha for 1.5 years, of which the last half year has been long distance. We've been meeting once a month for a weekend or so. We have another colleague, let's call him John, and we've met his longtime girlfriend. Let's call her Jane. On the vacations we've taken in the last year, Jane works elsewhere and has been with John since their high school days. More than 9 years. A week ago, I got an email from Jane. I don't know you too well, so it's probably not my place, but I got jilted and I don't want the same to happen to the other her party in this matter. John and Martha have been involved since October. I don't know to what extent or if it was from, even before. I don't wish to know either, because whatever I'm aware of beyond a doubt from their messages and subsequently, his confession is enough for me to break it off. I'm not in touch with anyone in that crowd anymore, and I don't intend to be. I don't know what your relationship with her is. This was just an FYI. Good luck and take care. I trust my girl. So my first reaction was to show her this email and ask her to find out if John is okay after what seemed to be an ugly breakup, as they're very close. She got defensive and said I had no right to accuse her and I should have deleted the email, and I have never shown it to her if I truly trusted her. I spoke to another colleague, Bill, and told him what had happened. He said John had told everyone he had a breakup sometime before October but continued hanging out with Jane, which everyone had found odd, intervened and then finally left him alone on the subject. He also told me that Martha and he spent a lot more time together now, though he didn't suspect anything romantic. Now, I'm not proud of this part, but I got frustrated at this point and wrote back to Jane asking her for evidence. She wrote back saying she didn't want to get involved any further and the confrontation was in person. So anyway, she had no evidence. I wrote back desperately asking for some message or chat for me to confront. She wrote back giving some personal details of the things she had read, the terms of endearment they had for each other, the physical involvement description, etc., and said to either trust her or not, but please keep her out of it for now. I confronted Martha with the details and she denied the whole thing. I really don't know what to do. Update. Here's how it unfolded. I told her I was uncomfortable with this whole scenario and would prefer if she maintained some distance from John. She burst into tears, saying she was only being a good friend to him to help him through his rough breakup. I demanded to know why she hadn't told me about the breakup. If she knew what, with all her continuous yapping about every other random thing. She said he had told everyone about the breakup but was still trying to make it work with her. So she wasn't sure what the scenario was. She went on to tell me that Jane was a complete psycho and told me horror stories of things she did for attention. Jane was allegedly envious of my girl's closeness with John, even though nothing was going on between them. She said John had finally severed ties, which caused her to lash out and attack her. Martha threw me. I believed her and felt quite terrible for doubting her. After a lot of her tears were spilled, I apologized profusely and suggested we keep our distance from both of them until they sort out their own shit. She reluctantly agreed. A day later, yesterday, I got a call from Bill, another colleague, and he tells me they were all out together and he saw them making out when they excused themselves for a smoke break. Martha doesn't smoke. I didn't confront or react. I requested Bill to not mention anything to her or John about having alerted me. I told her I had left a few files on her computer and couldn't remember where or what they were called. So I needed some remote access to her system for some time. I pretended it was extremely urgent and I feigned a state of panic. I told her it would take me some time to transfer the files. She gave me access and went to take a shower. I went into her Gmail but it had nothing. Facebook chats? Nothing. Skype? Nothing. I felt like shit again, thinking I'm terrible for doubting her. And then I realized she had left her phone on a charge through a USB on her laptop. I accessed the folders and there it was, the ugliness bare of the person. I had spent the last 1.5 years loving sex chats, dirty pictures, references to the nights they were together, panic and respect of other halves. Finding out. Nope. He hadn't broken up, just told people in the office that he had, and finally the latest message of taking it slowly until things settle down. I cleared my traces and logged out. I haven't confronted her yet. I'm deciding between a stone-cold, dignified walk away or to make her weep drama-induced. Walk away. Last update I left without a word. I know she will try her emotional drama and try to explain away even this with absurd logic or playing the victim or get on the offense by attacking me. I'm not interested in any of that. I left and she can figure out why, to hell with her, as advised by a lot of you. Thanks to Jane. She replied saying good riddance, take care. Martha has asked a few common friends to ask why I've blocked her. I told them not to speak of her to me or of me to her. She's a mess from what I hear. I honestly don't give a shit. Indifference. Feels sweet. Didn't expect to feel this good so soon. I'm grateful to her for being such an in-your-face bish. That sure helps. Thanks everyone for your support. To better times ahead. Cheers P. I'm sorry you had to go through this, and I hope you quickly restore yourself from this relationship. She is an awful human being. She manipulated you and made you doubt what was true. Forget about her because she doesn't deserve your time and effort. You deserve someone better, someone who wouldn't lie to your face or try to gaslight you. I'm glad you found the evidence, because if it wasn't for it, you would have still believed her lies. Let's see what the comments had to say about the situation. The Bunny 42 said, I know it takes guts to break up with someone because you fell in love with someone else. I know it's a sniffly thing to do. Fall in love with someone else while you are with someone else, but at least have the freaking decency of allowing that other person to move on with their life. Is it people who lie and cheat and don't tell because they're trying to spare that other person's feelings? I mean, which is worse, telling them you're no longer in love with them, or cheating, lying, conniving in the background? I personally think it's the cheating, lying, conniving. That's worse. I see the lies as no different than a con artist. You are lying to get one over on a person. Is the person paying your bills, your rent? Is that why you're conning them while you get your rocks off? Nothing different than what a con artist does. As someone who has been cheated on a year and a half later, the stone-cold walk away still feels good. I went to no contact and he was telling mutual friends for weeks that he wanted to talk to me. I was bent on moving on ASAP. I regret nothing. I'm glad you decided to just leave without making a big drama. This shows how much of a mature person you are. Breakups are really tough and made worse if you have to leave because of infidelity. You, sir, have my absolute respect for how you've handled the situation, and I hope you keep your chin up and enjoy the rest of your life. Peace, man. I agree with you 100%. Now, let's get into today's second story. Here's a little background. Me and my soon-to-be ex-wife were married for 20 years or so and by all accounts had a great relationship. Then she had an affair brought on by a variety of circumstances, midlife crisis, mental health, etc. And we tried to recon for several months. But she eventually got back together with her affair partner, moved out of our house, and has since lived sometimes with him and sometimes when they fought or when he kicked her out elsewhere. Mostly couch surfing and other temporary solutions. We have a signed settlement agreement but are still waiting for a judge to put final approval on it. It's been more than 15 months since Discovery Day and almost 9 months now since she moved out and we began the process of divorce in earnest. Meanwhile, we still see each other fairly regularly because we have a son to co-parent, even though he doesn't see his mom particularly often. He lives with me full-time and sees his mom for a few minutes, a few evenings, a week after school, and for the occasional weekend day adventures, usually a bit less than the 1 day every other weekend that is outlined in our agreement. My soon-to-be ex-wife and I get along fairly well, all things considered. And I tried to keep the lines of communication open because I think it's the best thing for our son. Not to say it hasn't been hard at times, of course, but I've dealt with the pain. And so I'm pretty well for the most part. I did some therapy in the early stages and I focused on self-care and self-improvement as much as I can. Given the cramped schedule of being a full-time single parent with a full-time job, everything seems to be going well. Then I find out she's in line for a new and better job. And for some reason, this news has really knocked me off my center. It's strange to me that, given how poorly she has handled her social life, blowing up our relationship, which I know she regrets not meeting her responsibilities with our son, losing contact and being in conflict with a bunch of her family and old friends and other aspects of her personal life, reckless spending, mounting debts, looming bankruptcy. She seems to really be doing well at work. That I guess is where she's focused all of her energies. This, in spite of the fact that she's constantly, even now that her supervisors will find out about A, the divorce, and B, the fact that her affair partner is a co-worker. But even that is okay. I mean, I'm fine with the fact that she's had success at work. But then I found out she has a line on another job, one which will substantially boost her salary, and I'm knocked off kilter. So I've been trying to figure out why this is bothering me so much, and I've come up with a few things. I suppose it is part of the fact that with this new job, she would make considerably more than me. And there's something about that which feels unfair given how our relationship developed and ended. I'm a little pissed that while I have a job and a career that I love, the extra burdens and responsibilities that I've had to undertake in the last 15 months because of her infidelity or unwillingness to meet her parental responsibilities have definitely caused me opportunities to advance my own work and career. So her career advancement strikes a sour note with me. Her increased salary may complicate my life in specific ways. It will likely not be enough to fend off bankruptcy in the long term. But it may well be enough to reduce some financial support that we rely on for our son's school. Meaning that, best case scenario, since we share the school expense, her promotion will cost me money, and worst case scenario, especially if she can't get her spending under control, we won't be able to afford the school he's currently in, which will complicate my life considerably. Her increased salary may cause some other minor headaches for a complex of reasons that I won't get into here. Mostly, I suppose, I think about how if she hadn't blown up our family, she would still likely be in line for a move like this. If not this year, then maybe next year, and we would as a family be enjoying the benefits of that new job without the consequences of the rampant spending that accompanied the affair. And in her case continues in its aftermath, and we would be as a result, gearing up for a pretty sweet summer one where we would have the flexibility and opportunity to do a lot of things that we had always wanted to do. I don't even know for sure if she'll get the job or not. She should find out in a few weeks if the organization's background checks for new leadership hires don't include a credit check. Then I think she's got a pretty good shot at times. I have toyed with the fantasy of somehow encouraging the search committee to include a credit check. But that's just a fantasy. One of the first decisions I made as I was first dealing with the situation 15 months ago was this: I get to decide how this changes me, and I'm not going to let this situation turn me into someone that I don't want to be. That has served me pretty well as a core principle moving through all of this. And so I wouldn't really do anything to sabotage her career. But even so, the thought of her getting that job hurts a little. But fortunately, typing this out has helped. OP, how you're feeling is quite understandable. You're human after all. Try and look at the situation from the perspective that you're spending quality time with your son. I'm sure he will appreciate you being a good parent. So that's a big win. And about your ex-wife, contact your lawyer since you're mostly taking care of your child. And due to that, you've been lacking with your job. I'm sure he or she can offer you some advice if your wife does get the job, Take good care of yourself and your son. Let's see what the comments had to say. Bird Singer 29 said, I see her paying alimony and child support to you. Speak to your lawyer. I'm confident that will be the case. I get why this bothers you and I don't blame you one bit. However, it might be time to be a bigger man. You may want to show your son how man acts and not be vindictive or resentful. Work on being the best that you can be and being the best role model for your son that you can be. Also advise your lawyer of the situation. You should be able to revisit any previous agreements. Yes, I know it sucks. But sometimes you just have to hold your head up and move on. All the best to you. Settlement agreements can change because of an increase in salary. Have your lawyer redo it if she gets the promotion. Thanks for taking the time to listen to today's stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already done so, and comment below on what your thoughts are on today's stories. If there's a story you would like to share with me about your own situation or someone else's, then please do not